Life is one big head game. And once you learn to play the motherfucking head game, it's no longer a game anymore at all. You start living your life.
Well, another episode of One Big Head Game with Beau Killingsworth, Garrett, Duet, and Kyle Evans today. Special guest. Thanks for coming on board.
Hey, man,
Kyle.
It's my pleasure.
You know, Kyle is a real estate mogul.
I dabble.
He's in every area. It seems like he's a real estate agent. He's grown his own team in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's called Constellation Home Sales.
Yeah.
Okay, that's his team. But he's kind of, the reason we have him on today is not only because he's a really good looking guy, but also because he is doing something a little bit different, or it seems like it's different. He's not just a regular real estate agent. He's kind of taken the task up of helping other real estate professionals, you know, get the most out of their life. And I think that's really interesting. And I'm sure that he's going to have a lot to say about that and how he does what he does. And he really, it seems like, comes at it from a coaching and motivational perspective.
Sure.
And I don't know if I've seen anybody else who's marketing themselves in real estate agency, anything like that, that's doing that.
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting. Thanks for coming on board today. And
we appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Why don't we start kind of with just you telling us a little bit about yourself, you know, where you're at, what you do on a daily basis, and where you came from.
Sure.
Let's
yeah.
just start with that.
I mean, it all started on a windy day, 1988. Some would say it was the best day ever.
88 was a good year.
It's a good year.
It was a great year, buddy.
Man, I'm aging like fine
That's
wine.
when I. That's when I was. That's when I came in too.
That's right. It's the best vintage, you would say. No, man. So I started real estate journey part-time, like back in the bars, right?
Yeah.
One of my buddies was like, hey, man, you know a ton of people. Mm-hmm. You would probably be great at real estate. I'm like, I don't know anything about that, and I'll take your word for it.
And I'll change my life based on what you just said.
You know, in the first year, it still shocks me because I was just, and I tell this story a lot in the rooms, is I was not good.
Yeah.
Like, I am shocked that people would let me write contracts for things that they would own for 30 years.
Yeah.
You know, and then it hit me. Me and my wife, we got married, we got pregnant, and, you know, she was like, I don't necessarily love the bar thing.
Oh, I
like,
wonder why.
Weird, right?
That is weird.
And so
they usually
like,
love
yeah,
that.
Yeah, I know. It's great family building, you know.
Yeah, it's a good career.
Asterisk, there are people who do it well, guys.
For
Just
sure.
For the
sure.
most, it's a tougher thing. And so decided to give real estate a shot, you know, went full time into that. Joined a team, started working, and then realized truly how bad I was at real estate. Like, it did not start the way that I desired it to start.
Mm-hmm. What did you? What was the difference there? You thought you would just come in hot. Huh?
Fact.
Oh yeah.
HGTV. You know, I got this. You know, it's going to be awesome.
It's so
and
funny.
it was not awesome, right? And so I started raising my hand, right, and then asking people like who are successful, how you doing it, and I really leaned into training and coaching, and that kind of changed my life. I took a course, is one of the ones that I do now, and it just set me up on the right direction, man. Like, we started getting deals, and the rest was downhill, man. Kind of grew a really big team with a guy, and we grew it all the way up to 265 units a year. Which
nice.
is, in the real estate world, a pretty good amount.
Yeah. Seems like it.
Yeah. And so from that led me into, I was training and coaching all of these agents doing that. And a lot of it came from my own mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I tell people all the time, I should write a book on how not to be a real estate agent because,
That's an interesting thing.
Yeah,
that
man.
That you just said there.
Yeah.
It's the best way to learn sometimes.
It is, man. And I feel like people beat themselves up too much about their failures, and I'm like, man, what you think disqualifies you actually qualifies you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I failed, now I know where the spots are.
Yeah.
And so being able to help people do that, I realized a new path. You know, I was like, man, I really love this, and people tell me I'm good at it. We'll see what happens in the annals of history, but for now it's going well, man. So I started doing that, really got into the coaching aspect of it, and now that's mainly where I spend my time and my energy, and I have the team kind of doing the thing for our clients.
Yeah, and that's your passion. It seems like it's yes, real estate is the business, but you tell me it seems like the passion is helping other people succeed in that space yourself, and that's probably where your mind sits most days, huh?
That's right. Yeah. You know, and that's another thing too, man. It's like we talk to people, especially business people. You guys are entrepreneurs. You get it. Sometimes some of the business people I coach, you know, they're like, I'm just not jazzed up about painting or trash collection. I'm like, man, it's a vehicle.
Feel you on that.
I'm not like, hey, man, can't wait to do this foundation check on this home.
Oh, yeah.
Monday, termite inspection. Today's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But no, man, it's a vehicle. It's like, what can this get you? Where does this take you?
Yeah. That's interesting. I want to hear more about, let's go back even further. Where we started.
Man.
Me and Kyle met each other, on a great day. It was another windy day. Another windy day when we met, and it was probably, where was it? I'm trying to think if it's funny, I always try to think about the first time I see people, you know?
Great question.
It was probably, I definitely saw you on Facebook before, or something like that, but we probably met at Mike's.
Yeah, he was. Garrett was like, "Hey, did y'all go to school together?" I was like, "Well, we went to a school,
the school of
Tigerland University."
Yeah, we met at a bar, and Kyle was the lead. I mean, he was the cool dude. He wasn't like regular bartenders, you know. He was the guy that everybody wanted to hang around.
How do you not have like a list of 3,000 people looking to be on this show? Like, you were just pumping it up over there, man.
Look, if you're watching this and you want some promo, look, I'll give it to you. Just come sit in this chair.
Hype guy.
No, but it's true. I mean, I'm being truthful. It's true. I looked at you. I was like, oh man, this guy's cool. You know, everybody wanted to get slide a free shot your way.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
right.
And
the
you
currency
never did that.
of the time.
You certainly never gave me any shots.
Of course not.
Everybody wants to be friends with the bartender.
That's right.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
Right.
And it was a fun job.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun. But that's where me and Kyle met. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I made like negative $5 a night, but it was awesome.
It's about the experience.
Yeah. Standing at that door, you know. You think you're coming in here, dude? That's gonna be a no. Let's get out of here.
Not today, Francis.
Not today, Leonard Fournette.
Right,
you think you're cool? No. But yeah, that's where me and Kyle met, and I would say you were definitely successful then. You definitely knew how to work with people then.
Yeah,
that's what I
was
witnessed
cool
from
learning.
you.
That was a cool learning experience in itself, and I'm a big, and don't get it twisted, guys. We're talking about how much of a good experience that was. I think the soft skills that you can pick up in the service industry are so valuable in so many different aspects of your life.
For sure.
Afterwards, right?
For sure, man. You can't really replicate that.
No, man.
I don't know. Whether you're a bartender or a server or something like that, if you take that seriously. And you got to get out of your shell a little bit because you're having to talk with people and you have to give them immediate positive service.
That's right.
And at a bar,
that's right.
Same thing.
Right.
And you're dealing with drunk people, so you know they get angry.
Conflict resolution.
If you can learn how to deal with drunk people, you'll be good to go with any customer.
That's right.
I worked in the conflict resolution space of that bar. I probably caused some of the conflict.
I don't know if your nickname would have been Beau the Pacifist.
Yeah. Hey, can't we just all get along? No,
we
get
cannot.
out of here. But that's where we met, man. That was a fun time, and I just bring it up because one, it's part of who you are, and two, I do think like some of those skills, you know, that's what makes you an attractive guy, an attractive personality, and certainly that helps you in everything that you do.
Yeah,
you
man.
know? And I'm sure you look at that as a big thing.
I do, and you know, another thing too that I think is very often overlooked in the skill set of the service industry is how to do things well and quickly and decision making under pressure. Because when you get in the weeds, or like, you know, let's say you're a waiter and you get sat with a 20 top and you already had all the tables that you can handle, it's not going to be an easy shift.
Dude, it's not
like,
easy.
You've got to.
Yeah. I remember one time I was a server at a restaurant in Lake Charles. It was my first job, and I was young in college, like right after high school. And I was just a busboy, and I would bring drinks, you know, like they would order them, and then I'd bring them over. One time I had a tray full of drinks,
Yes.
and I walked it over to that table, and there was a person at this table that I knew from high school, okay, that I like grew up with, so I had witnesses, okay, and I proceeded to walk over there, and I don't know what happened, but I dumped all those drinks,
Yeah.
all over that table and all over this lady. Oh, it was everyone.
Yeah.
The whole place stopped. And I was like,
Oh.
oh God, oh my God,
Like the whole record scratch, like
oh, big time. And I just walked over. It's like one of those things. I wish it was on camera. I just walked over and just dumped it right on everyone. And it was chock-a-block full. It was bad, man. I wanted to die.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I'm done with this. I go hid in a corner. I was shaking, uncontrollably eating leftover food. I was like, what am I going to do with myself? It was
Next
nuts.
month is ruined.
Oh, dude, that will change it. And I still remember that feeling. I've never quite gotten that low anymore since then.
yeah, we can't tell that you're scarred by it. Not at all.
Yeah, dude, I remember it's like frame by frame. I remember it like it was yesterday.
But that's the
so
thing
traumatized.
too, man. It's like you got punched in the mouth by life,
Oh, yeah.
and then you couldn't just quit.
Oh, no.
You
I
had to
wish
go-
I could have.
I know, right?
I wanted
You
to.
had to figure it out and face it
Cool.
and keep going. And that stuff right there, man, it's overlooked and it's powerful because
Yeah.
you're here talking about it
Yeah.
years later
Oh,
and how of
it's-
an impactful moment it was.
Yeah, I tell people about it all the time because it was like the lowest point. I'm like, you can't get more embarrassed. You're trying to. It's a nice restaurant, and you're trying to eat there. You're spending a good amount of money,
Sure.
nice steaks, everything's nice, the ambiance, and then next thing, boom, you get hit with 10 drinks in your face. And you didn't see it coming.
No.
It just hit you.
Had a full tray of drinks, then I didn't have a full tray of
Yeah,
drinks.
and I had scar tissue for the rest of my life.
It's right here. You can't see it. It's there.
Oh, it's there.
It's there.
Oh man, that's funny. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about your real. I want to talk about the coaching.
Sure.
How did you? Okay, so you started in real estate. Was it hard for you to, like you say, raise your hand? Okay, when you said raise your hand, what you meant by that is you started looking for guidance, right? So
Yeah.
you started doing that just to learn more about real estate in general. That
Yeah,
had
man.
nothing to do with coaching, really. You were just
No.
doing the process of
Yeah.
educating yourself in the real estate space. How did you? Was it hard to raise your hand?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I talk about a lot because I think it is, well, I don't want to speak for others, but it was hard for me because you're talking about where we met, right? You
Yeah.
had to have a certain confidence level
Yeah.
or ego level to do it because that's kind of what the role requires,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
so putting that aside and I guess you would say being vulnerable and being like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't know this. What do? Most people just eat it. They're like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to look like the fool.
Yeah.
And my business and my life transformed whenever I became okay with being the dumbest person in the room.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear, man. Because
That's right, man.
I figured you would say that. It's such a huge deal.
It's wild, dude. And it's the crazy thing and what I desire people to understand is like when you put that ego aside and you really seek guidance and like humbly seek guidance, not because people seek guidance and then they want to still have a full cup.
Everyone.
Yes.
Everyone
Right.
wants that.
Hey man, yeah, I would love to learn more. And then this is how I do it, but I see what you're doing, but this is how I do it, and that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
seeking guidance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man.
And like everything changed, and I find that every time I get to a certain point in life, I start looking for those rooms or that guidance or that next mentor,
Yeah.
and it really like almost like a vacuum pulls you into the next chapter if you're doing it in a genuine sense.
yeah, that's true.
I think that's so I own a tutoring company called
Mm-hmm.
Open Door Tutoring. And I think the main reason that they come to us is because they don't want to ask questions in class. When they have one person they can talk to,
That's right.
and that's nothing else, they're good to go. They
That's
ask as
right.
many questions they need, and they're getting A's and B's now when they had
Yeah.
F's before because they just didn't ask the questions in class.
Yeah, they didn't want to look dumb
Yep.
in front of everybody, right?
Yeah.
And usually, if someone has a question in class, like if you're in class and you have a question, like 50% of the room has the
Right.
same question.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nobody wants to look stupid, man.
That's right. People, look, guys, two fundamental things. People want to look good and they want to be right.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure.
If you can help people look good and be right, or at least
Yeah.
feel those things, man, you're off to the races in any
Yeah.
business that you have.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
true, man. That's very true. Interesting from a business perspective. I hadn't thought about that necessarily, making people.
That one's free.
Yeah. Send me an invoice. I try to do that anyway. I feel like my personality tries to do that, but I haven't thought about it like that.
Well, here's the thing. You probably are doing it unconsciously.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I'm just a nice guy. I
You
just
say
like
that,
to-
you say that. Seriously, though, think about this, man. And like, I love to break stuff down. That's just the way my mind works. I love how the brain works, even though we don't realize it. Like, I made a joke about you, like, hey, come on this show. Beau's over here hyping you up. Like, you just do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a skill that you have that you may not even realize how strong of a skill it is.
Yeah,
That's true.
And other people,
That's true, yeah.
dude, I get to talk to hundreds and thousands of different people. Other people would die to have that skill naturally.
Really?
And you already have it. You know what I mean? And it's a
Wow.
great, like, connector with people. You're making them feel at ease. It's kind of from the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale
Wow.
Carnegie.
It's interesting because I read those books when I was like 16.
Yeah, you should bring them back and
Yeah.
blow the dust off it. It's good stuff,
Make sure
man.
the binding's still good. Rips off.
Yeah, dude, that's
yeah.
some of those soft skills that you have ingrained that you don't even realize you have.
Yeah, and you're doing that to me currently as we speak. You're pumping me up
Ta-da.
because you bet I want to do that. I want to be someone who is a positive thing
Sure.
to people. Like that is my nature. I want people to feel comfortable around me. I want people to feel like they're their best self around me. I really
right.
do want that. Whether I achieve that or not, I do want that. And so you're Mr. Miyagiing me right now. We need to get
Yeah.
this as a clip.
I tell you what,
this
one
is
of
like a lot of things are going on in this one exchange here.
one of my skills as a coach, and I learned it along the way, I'm sure, because I tell people all the time, like, man, you're so wise for these. I'm like, dude, I'm just a hodgepodge of things that I learned from other people.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't come out the womb like, I'm Tony Robbins.
Come out the womb. Let's get you to your best self.
Yeah, mom's like, here's the bottle. I'm like, Mom, tell me about your biggest challenge right now.
Mom,
Let's go. You know. But one of my strengths is being able to
Mom.
kind of
Mom.
the meatloaf.
Let's put the bottle down for a second, Mom.
You got to
That's
pull
hilarious.
yourself out. Everybody lives here, right? They have their blinders on. They're living here, and as they should, because that's their life. Being able to take a 30,000-foot view and kind of look down and hold the mirror up for people and be like, dude, you're not even seeing yourself as you are. You're seeing yourself as you think
Yep.
you are.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can, and that's probably one of the skills. Let's hone in on that because in coaching, a lot of that is that it's you showing the subject, let's call them, a different perspective of themselves that they are incapable or unwilling to see. you
Right,
know? Because
right.
they see, and me, I look at myself a specific way. Garrett looks at himself a specific way, and they are false, right? They're false in the positive way. They're false, and in the negative
Sure.
way, they're false. You know.
Sure.
So having the skill of being able to identify those things about people, which you have to be able to intrinsically learn about people.
Yeah.
You have to be able to listen to be able to know that person to reflect that mirror on them, right?
That's right.
What's your process like? Do you coach one-on-one or do you coach groups? I mean, I'm sure you do both.
Yeah, I
you
do
know?
both.
But so when you're going one-on-one, what's your goals first off, off the rip when you get with someone and you're trying to help them?
That's a great question. It's two things, man, two foundational things when I'm first meeting with someone, and then you remind them along the way. And I, again, learned these from other people. And the number one thing is you set the expectations for the relationship, right? First off, I'm like, I want you to understand, because most people, and you kind of talked about it with tutoring, like we don't want to look the fool, but that's because we don't want to be judged or rejected, right? And so my first foundation is you will never meet someone who is as unjudgmental as me. And everyone always takes that. They're like, okay. And, and then like a few sessions in, they're like, oh, yeah, dude, you really don't judge at all. I'm like, that's the point. I can't help you if I'm making micro judgments about you as we're doing it.
Yeah.
And the second one is, confidentiality, because people don't want to bare their heart if it's going to, you got to be careful of vents, right? Because they go to other rooms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Knowing that. And then the second one is, man, I prepare to listen.
Yeah.
And for me, it's almost, and I was reflecting on this really just this past week because we were talking about anxiety with different people. And I said, anxiety doesn't live in the future.
Yeah.
Anxiety lives in the future or the past. It doesn't live in the present moment. And for me, coaching is almost like a meditative process because I have to firmly, if you're doing it well, be present in the moment and paying attention to what you're saying, what you're not saying, what your tonality is like, what your body language is like. Because if I'm not paying attention at that sort of level, I'm not going to be able to do my best help for you.
It's almost like you have to be a therapist, but for their professional life.
Kind of, yeah. It's really, it's a lot of listening, a lot of paying attention. And, dude, sometimes people just want to talk.
Yeah.
Especially, this is a group of guys right here. In society right now, it is not a huge thing for men to bare their soul. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So
What
when,
was I thinking?
when you get on the call, like, what are those first few questions that you ask? Like, figuring out about the person, or,
Sure.
What do they want to do? What does most of those people look
yeah,
like?
man, my first call, it's a discovery call. Like, I want to know what's going on in their world. What are they like? What's their biggest challenges? What do they desire? What's the end result? What do you want to get out of this relationship? Because I believe, and this is from, the medical field, prescription without observation is malpractice.
Yeah.
You don't go into the doctor's office and say, hey, you know what? My arm hurts. They're like, great. Let's get you an
Here's
ankle
some
brace.
Cialis.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Here's some
Cialis, right? You say arm, but I know what you
I know what you
want.
mean.
Let's go with
They
that.
don't. They're going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. They're probably going to take some different tests, blood pressure. Hey, move like this, do like this. And then it might escalate to even more tests before they can really give you an answer. And so,
Hopefully.
yeah, hopefully,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
even,
yeah. Yeah.
And so that's kind of the thing is like, how many questions can I ask, and how can I not make judgments without knowing all the facts?
Yeah.
And so really, it's discovery, man. It's asking open-ended questions to learn more about the people.
Yeah, I found it. What I was trying to get to a moment ago was the anxiety thing, because that's such a big deal, and
Big
I
time.
would assume people who would be attracted to this podcast would have anxiety, because everyone has to a certain level, right?
Yes, man.
Especially today, man. It's an epidemic, and you said that anxiety doesn't live in the present; it lives in the future or the past. And I was talking to a buddy of mine about anxiety and particularly about worrying, which is anxiety.
Sure, a lot of it.
Right. And it was just like all of that work and all of that mental energy, goes into trying to engineer or think about things that are not real and certainly could never happen. So it's just a big waste of time. Ultimately, that's a big generalization, obviously, but
or even if it could happen, there's no real use on worrying about it now. Just doing what you need to do so that it doesn't happen.
that's right. I told this person to focus on the actions that they can actually control, because the outcome in that case for him, the outcome you can't control outcomes a lot of the time. We can, as business people, we can have great plans and we can put those plans into work, but you can't control the outcome.
Right. That's right.
You can't control cancer. You can't control deaths in the family. You can't control mental illness. Sometimes, sometimes that stuff will hit you and you can't control it.
Yeah.
And worrying about those things or trying to determine the outcome in the future is kind of difficult. And I have some difficulty sometimes, because when you set goals, and this would be good for you, when you set goals, you set some boundary, something out in the future that you want to see happen. But a lot of the times when we're setting goals and putting those actions into place, we can't control what happens there. So how do you get to the point where, yes, you have goals, but at the same time, you need to be okay with whatever that result is and just focus on the action, because goal setting is a big part of coaching. How do you deal with goals and the outcomes in the future? Are you very hard on that? Like, what do you think?
So that's a great question, man. And I think it all kind of stems together with what we're, because people get anxiety about their goals, right?
I do.
You
For
set the
sure I
goals and then
do.
you're worried about
Right.
it. You nailed it, man. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
hey, look, I can't control everything.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Duh. What can you control?
Yeah.
If you are worrying about what you can't control, why are you worrying about it? Because you can control it.
Yeah.
All you can do is do everything in your power to set up the best environment for success.
Yeah.
And what happens, happens.
Yeah.
And then we learn along the way, right?
Yeah.
And then like you said, man, like, I'm not trying to make an overarching thing. Some people have anxiety because of a literal biological problem.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
not what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
We're talking
That's
about
the mental,
overthinking.
We're
That's the
talking
mental
about the
illness.
feeling of anxiousness.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so, like, and I'm not telling people that it's not okay to ever feel that. Those are human emotions, right? And so one of the things that I always say, it's one of my I guess ethos is like, people don't drown from jumping in the river. They drown from staying underneath it.
Yeah.
It is okay to have those thoughts from time. They're human emotions.
Right.
We can't control our first thought. We can control our second thought, though. So that's the name of the game. If you want a better life, get better at controlling that second thought, the time that it takes you to get there.
Yeah.
The strength of the power of that second thought.
Yeah.
That changes your life. And then for goals, man, you said like, how hard are you? Man, that depends on the person.
Yeah.
So one of the things I ask them, because again, my life is not your life.
Mm-hmm.
Your life is not his life. And so I want to be like, hey, how accountable do you want to be to these goals? Scale of 1 to 10. This is literally, I'll give you the exact questions.
Yeah.
And they're like, 10.
Yeah.
Almost everybody says that. I'm like,
Yeah,
awesome.
almost everybody.
They do.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Get ready.
What does a 10 look like to you?
Yeah.
Because my 10's not your 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
10 question is really just a setup. Because no matter what number they say,
They don't want to look stupid, so they don't want to be like, oh, well, I'm kind of weak, so let's go with 4.
Right. I'm going to be like, great. What does a 4 look like to you? Because
Yeah,
the
it's the
numbers
same
are
thing.
irrelevant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just leads to the next questions. What does it look like to you? And then they explain that. And then I ask them a couple questions deep on each one.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, okay, it means being completely honest with me. Great. Give me an example of that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell me I suck. Well, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you that you suck.
Yeah. I'm not going to use those words, but
So, yeah, man, I mean, the accountability just kind of depends on the person. And one of the things that I was just literally talking about this morning on a call is people are like, there's just this societal thing about accountability is a bad thing, or we like hide from it sometimes.
it's because it hurts.
Because
man.
it hurts. Because we have to, when we are being held accountable, there is a real chance that someone is going to call us out for our failures.
Yeah.
And nobody likes to fail.
No.
However, dude, accountability is such a gift. People who are holding you accountable care.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, people who are like, hey, Beau, dude, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Like,
That
I want to
hurts,
be
yeah.
with friends who are like, hey, dude, we're not going out tonight because you have a big goal. You need to study harder.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, don't sleep in. I know that you didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Don't sleep in. You said you were going to go to the gym every day. Go to the gym.
Yeah.
That's accountability, because those people desire your best from you,
Yep.
and they're going to pull you and hold you to that flame. Dude, accountability will change your life. Like, I've got it I've got different coaches for different things. I've got accountability in different areas, not because I'm awesome. People hear that, they're like, oh, dude, you got a bunch of coaches? Yeah, cool, man. And I'm like, no, it's because I'm weak. It's
Yeah.
because I'm not awesome. I
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
have accountability in different areas to help me be my best self.
It's interesting to me, the whole coaching, coaching in general these days. I mean, it's become such a big thing, you know,
Sure.
in different areas, and specifically in fitness, obviously,
Yeah.
and in your professional life. I mean, some people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaches every year, and I know some of them, but it's funny to me. I just had the thought, it's like, I feel like that wasn't a thing, let's say 20 years ago, maybe. But maybe it's because everybody's not holding the people that they care about accountable, and that everybody out here, you have to pay somebody to hold you accountable, a
I
third
think that's
party
a really
sometimes.
good reflection,
you know?
man. Also, I think back in the day, it was more normal to have a mentor figure, to have
yeah.
that sort of journeyman status for someone else, right?
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
have someone that you would turn to, and people don't have that these days.
I know.
Well, 20 years ago, also, like you don't. I think coaching. This is just my,
Sure.
my thought on it is.
You weren't
a lot of-
alive 20 years ago. Let's
yeah,
be, let's,
exactly. well, just in general.
The books that I've read.
He's 20. he's 22.
I saw a video one time.
Back 25 years ago.
Those
I mean,
big
we
phones
did-
you guys used to have.
Go ahead, Garrett.
So, it's a lot of changing your perspective.
Sure.
I don't think 20 years ago or 40 years ago or something like that, there was a lot of talk about changing your perspective or like getting your mindset right. It was more just, these are the things you have to do. This is your mentor. He's going to show you what to do, and you go and do it.
Right.
So coaching, it's a lot of emotional perspective to it, and it's talking about your emotions. There wasn't a whole lot about that 40 years ago.
That's what I was going to say too. That's
Yeah.
a good point, because the idea of going to someone for help as an adult male was not. You're
Right.
completely right. That was not as a comfortable thing. Like, we're talking about, oh yeah, it's great to get vulnerable and ask for help. Like back in the day, buddy. Ting. No, dude, that wasn't happening. You know what I'm saying?
What is feelings?
Yeah. Well, I got some stuff to do. I don't have time for that.
I'm feeling pretty tired listening to you, boy.
Yeah, shut up, boy.
Yeah.
Get out there on that tractor,
That's
boy.
right. That's right.
Yeah, no, it was a different time, but also the books that you referred to, the How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich, all of those were written in the 30s and 40s. You know?
Dude,
So
for real.
these aren't new thoughts.
Yeah.
But the coaching as a profession, coaching, the exchange of money, the transactional nature of coaching is a relatively new thing in our day. And I think it's a great thing, honestly.
I think really it was just from the need of not having mentorship and not having those places, and also seeing the success of it from sports, man. Like people who've played sports, any sport, sometimes they look back and they're like, those were either the best times of my life, or they looked up to their coach. They might not have liked their coach.
That's even better.
The majority of them, though, respected their coach. You know, there's obviously the outliers that are, but still, for the most part, you're like, dude, that was a good time. And so seeing the positive effect there, someone at some point was like, you know what? Why can't we apply it to this field? Then why can't we apply it to this field, and this field, to this field? So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Have y'all watched Hard Knocks on HBO?
The football show?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
a good show.
Bear shit in the woods?
Yeah, no, I've seen a few of those. I feel like I saw one. My friend sent me a clip on Instagram of where he was talking about their grades or something. Did y'all see that one, or did you? I don't know. He was just railing into me. It was like, you guys can't even get F's.
That's a different show.
What is that show?
Hard Knocks is NFL.
Pros. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No.
Yeah, the other show I think is.
Yeah, that's like
are you
university,
thinking of,
like the college, like the
Second Chance
like
U
the,
or something
yes,
like that?
that's what it
like
is.
JUCO football.
Right.
Those coaches are hard. That's good TV.
That's good TV right there.
Yeah,
If you haven't watched it, watch it.
Yeah.
No, but on the show they show you what a team is like. They show you how all the different coaches play a part in making the team and what those players have to do.
Sure.
So it's exactly what we're talking about.
That's right.
Yeah.
A professional at it.
Yeah.
They are the best in the world at that, building a team.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and what's interesting too about the coaching, we were talking a lot about coaching, is that the people who are elite, at what they do, the Tiger Woodses of the world, the Tom Bradys of the world, in the sports world at least, they all got teams of coaches, buddy.
Yeah.
They're the best. They're the best. Yeah, they're spending millions.
Right.
We were talking about spending like $1,000 a month on a coach. These guys, well, they have the resources to do it, but they have the best coaches in the world, and it's like, why do they have that? And it's because of accountability. It's because they you want what's best for themselves. They want another perspective on everything that they're doing, and they can't see themselves, and they can't really see themselves as they really are.
Yeah, man.
That's kind of what it comes down to, I feel like, because people, human beings, in their very nature, have a condition. The condition is you can't really see who you really are. You may know who you may feel like you know who you are, but who are you? Like, what are you really doing? It's you don't really know, and life is kind of about figuring that out.
Yeah. One of the interesting things on that thought is no one will ever meet you.
Yeah, they'll meet who you want them to see.
They will have each person, like, think about this. There's thousands of representations of you out there in the world.
I love talking about this.
Right?
I love
my perception of you,
this.
who I think in my brain, who Beau is not who Garrett thinks.
No, yeah,
It's not who your mom thinks.
It's definitely not
your girl
who
thinks.
I think.
Not who you think.
For sure.
It's so, and it's crazy to me, especially like when I go and talk sometimes, and like there's so many different people, and I think I have to stay out of my brain because I'll get too analytical with what I'm doing.
Right.
Because it's like, that person's seeing something, that person sees me as something else, and I'm like, I see me as me.
Yeah. I think that's a good point, because at some point in my career, when I was doing some public speaking and doing some trainings with some of my businesses and stuff like that, and especially when we started this podcast, there was too many perceptions to keep track of.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
You know what I'm saying? Like at some certain level, if you don't get outside of your comfort zone, you can kind of control what you think, at least, people are seeing on you. And that's a big thing. Like if you only post once a week, or if you, for instance, if you never post, you can control what people think, or you think you are, right? But when you start putting yourself out there and getting uncomfortable with what you're doing, there becomes so many different perceptions that it's impossible to keep track of, and then at some certain point you turn it over and you're like, okay, this is I can't really keep track of this. I don't know what these people think about me, and then you come to the conclusion, hopefully, that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, man, and that for me, and I was talking.
That's interesting. Yeah,
it's top of mind right now because it's what I talked about this week. Is fear of rejection, right? People have three main fears, in my opinion. It's fear of failure, fear of rejection, and fear of the future. right? Fear of rejection is a huge one for most people.
Yeah.
And me personally, I went on a journey with that because, like in the bar days, right? Like we were young and social currency was traded, right?
yeah.
That's what you wanted to be at the height of social hierarchy.
For sure.
And so fear of rejection is very prevalent there. And so I had that a lot, right? You're always thinking, man, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? I care what this person thinks. And then it hit me once I got into coaching and got my own coach. I'll never forget, she told me, she said, do you understand where your fear of rejection comes from? I was like, no. That's why I'm with you right now.
Tell me.
Yeah. And she goes, it's from a lack of your own self-worth.
Yeah.
And I was like, how? Am
you
I
sure?
paying for this?
Wait. Are you sure?
She was like, you don't have a good enough self-worth. Your self-image is not strong enough and not secure enough that you care too much what other people think about you.
Gosh.
And it changed now. Like I
What a
care
blessing.
and I also don't care. Like I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
people to
Yeah.
have a good time. I don't want it to be a pain on anyone.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But however, if you don't like me, that's okay because I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm happy with who I am
Yeah.
and my family is happy with who I am.
Yeah.
And everything else,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
The way that I kind of approach it is just to be exactly who I am when I'm around the people I'm closest to.
Sure.
Is that a good perspective to go from?
I think you should be exactly who you are always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the point.
We're not presupposing that everybody has to have that part figured out. What he just said is, I've said that many times. I've said that when I was your age. That was a lie. I said that when I was.
I definitely didn't
little,
say that at his
little
age.
bit older. Yeah, I might have said it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you do say things when you're insecure, when you're not developed, when you're young. All of these things, you don't know all these. It takes a lot of experience and a lot of intrinsic thought to understand what's going on inside you, and it's a lifelong journey. This is not.
Facts.
It is not a. I've figured it out now. I've decided not to care what everybody thinks. Gary Vee talks about it. It's like you don't care what anybody thinks. Okay, like
Yeah, it definitely just doesn't
it's the mo-
disappear.
it's the
Yeah.
most. Yeah.
It's like telling somebody that is nervous to just not be nervous.
Don't be nervous, bro.
There you go.
Don't be nervous.
Exactly.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those words fix everything.
I'm not nervous anymore.
Yeah. Wow. You said
That
the
worked.
exact thing that I needed.
You just needed to tell me.
Yeah, man, it goes back to that first thought, second thought, right?
Yeah.
You're always going to have the thought, but how quick and how strong can you correct that thought?
Yeah.
That's the masterclass.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a lifelong thing, and oh man, it's so many different things.
Yeah, I didn't know we were going to
there.
go this deep this fast.
Yeah, I love this.
Welcome to my world.
I love this is every bit like this is the stuff that I think about, and
Yeah,
I've been
man.
on a journey my whole life trying to figure,
Yeah.
and I still am, man. I'm trying to figure out because a lot of the times in my life I've achieved a little bit of a success, or I've seen
Sure.
something happen that I wanted to happen. And then it wasn't the end, and I didn't feel those feelings that I thought I'd feel, and then it turned it right back to me, and I was like, well, where am I, and who am I, and all of these questions. And a lot of it, that's why me and Garrett started the podcast in the beginning. There was a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons was to put us on a spotlight and make sure that we are growing, because I can't sit on this camera all the time and lie to everyone.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
just
That's right.
it's just impossible. I mean, it's too exhausting anyway, even if you
Yeah.
tried. So it was kind of a growth thing just to get more comfortable talking with people, get in these deep discussions, and try to be ourselves and get comfortable in our skin, or more comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt. I thought it was because life is one big head game.
Yeah, it is. Right. Let's go with
what I
that.
You know?
Well, the head game was happening inside of us
That's
before it came to this screen. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's cool, man. I mean, and I think, and this is one of my foundational coaching pieces, why I like talking about it so much, because I think you said the word epidemic earlier, and I think there's an epidemic in this world for this talk right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
100%. Back in the day, bro, you know why people didn't talk about feelings that much? It's because a lot of people knew who they were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Interesting.
and they had firm beliefs, firm foundations,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that was it.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that.
They don't got that anymore.
I think people these days, this world has become much more complicated than it once was, I think, you know?
I agree.
I mean,
I think we choose that though each day.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as a civilization, certainly in general,
Yeah.
But people getting born are not choosing that. Certainly, they're getting into this world, and it's welcome to the madness.
Here's your Facebook. There you go.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's crazy, but I think you're right. Like people back in the day, they didn't have to search too long to figure out who they were, and they didn't have quite as much. Everyone had pressure. Anxiety isn't a new thing to the 21st century, but certainly, I mean, I think everyone believes that the technology tools and the social media is definitely
Do you
a
guys
culprit
ever
in
look
doing
at
that.
Stoicism? The Stoics?
I've heard of it, yes.
What is that? I've never even really
So it's
heard
a
of that.
school of thought, like people like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, like just old school. I mean, we're talking about thousands of years
Romans,
ago, right?
yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and you hear these things that they say, and it's funny because we're still struggling with the same things today. That's one of the cool things about reading this. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, we suffer more in imagination than in reality.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Tell me that's not anxiety and worry right there.
Yeah, for sure.
We are suffering more. This is thousands of years ago. This person saying, "Hey, man, I'm doing this right now." It's the human condition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Except now everything is so exacerbated because everyone's watching all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
At first, if I wanted to talk to you 200 years ago, I would have to write you a letter that would get to you a month from now.
Yeah.
And
Or
then you would
just-
send one back.
Or get on a
month.
horse and take that month
Right.
trip yourself.
Hey, you live in New York? Cool. I'll see you in 67 days.
yeah, if weather permits.
Right, weather permitting. Let's hope we get there before the first frost. You know,
Yeah, a fortnight. you
right?
know?
But it's because everything's under a microscope now,
Yeah.
and just the ease of being able to check and see exactly what you're doing and watch what you're doing and see how you're living your life. Man, it's wild. It's a lot to deal with if you continue to worry about what other people are always thinking about you.
Okay, so it all goes back to that. I think, and that's a common theme when we talk to people, is that a lot of it comes back to that. Maybe because that's what I think, and I'm perceiving it that way. But it really does come back to your perception of yourself and your worry and care about the opinions of other people that are wrong, by the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you think everybody thinks a certain way. Oh, people are going to think this way about. They're not even thinking about you, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
They're
such
not
a
even.
good
They
one.
don't
It's
even.
like in my 20s, I cared what I thought everyone was thinking about me. Like in
Yeah.
my 40s, I thought they were thinking about me less. When I was 60, I realized they weren't thinking about me at all.
Yeah, yeah, and the '60s guy was right in the '20s too.
That's right,
You
man.
know, it's just he came to that realization, right?
I think one of the, like, I've personally been on a journey, and we've known each other for, God, I don't know, 10, 15 years now, I guess.
I think when I was over there, it's probably 2008 or 2009.
And what is it, 2023?
That's 14.
Math,
That's 15 years.
right? It's 15 years. A long
Dang,
time.
man. That
You're
is.
not the same person. I'm not the same person.
Yeah.
Here's the crazy thing. I realized, man, in the past couple of years, as I've been on this journey, like tenfold on growth of just who I am as a person,
Yeah.
to stop caring about what other people think, because guess what? There are so many people out there who want to talk to me about 2008 Kyle,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
2010
yeah.
Kyle,
Interesting.
2015
Yeah.
Kyle, whatever, right? And I'm like, you're talking to me now, or you're comparing me or trying to hold me to someone who no longer exists.
Yeah, that's funny, man.
That person's gone.
That's hilarious.
Now, for some people, it's not. Like, they stay the same. However,
Right.
I'm so completely different
Yeah.
and sure of myself and my moral compass and my foundations and the things that I believe in are so radically different that I'm like, I appreciate that is what you think, but I don't care because that's not who I am.
Yeah, that's interesting. Patrick Bet-David, I saw the other day, said something like the people that are really changing in their life and really succeeding, you don't even recognize them
That's
in
right.
6 months.
Right.
You know,
That's right.
And that stuck with me because I feel like I change a lot too, and sometimes I feel like I'm changing so much that like, who am I? Like, what? Decide who you are, damn it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I have to decide, like, I am a person who changes all the time. That's what it is.
What you're not changing in your life, you're choosing.
Yeah.
Think
yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Like, if you are a person that changes a lot, great. It's because you're choosing different things. You think that something is better, or you're growing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Growing means change.
Yes.
It means
Yes,
that it will
certainly
be
does.
different, right? What the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls the butterfly.
Yeah. Yeah, so interesting, man.
Nuggets.
That's true. Just sprinkling
Chick-fil-A
gold
nuggets.
fairy. Chick-fil-A.
The Lord's
Speaking
chicken.
of Chick-fil-A, dude, killing it out here.
Yes.
Dude. I saw a stat, probably fake, on on Instagram about
It
Chick-fil-A.
was on Instagram. Must be true.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's definitely true. I mean, I saw a picture,
Yeah.
you know, and it was like Chick-fil-A was doing more business than like 9 restaurants combined, all the big ones,
I have zero doubt on
Wingstop,
that.
Cane's, I mean, all of them, Popeyes, throw them
Yeah.
all in a bucket, and Chick-fil-A is like doubling all of their gross revenue.
I would say in the
With
past,
like a third, not even a third of the locations that all of them have.
5 years maybe.
Cool.
Chick-fil-A really has gained a ton of steam and traction and market share.
Oh man,
It's because they're
dude.
doing the basics
yes,
well.
yes, dude.
They're not recreating the wheel.
Dude,
It's chicken.
It's
they,
chicken.
They had to
It's
shut.
chicken.
They had to shut down the one on Ambassador Caffrey. There was one on Ambassador Caffrey.
Fire
over here.
marshal. Too many people trying to get chicken.
Exactly.
Seriously?
Dude. Ambassador Caffrey is like a thoroughfare.
Yeah.
A lot of people. There
So-
was lines. People were speeding by at 50 miles an hour. There's lines outside on that road. I was like, oh my god, I'm speeding around. It was nuts.
Just
dude.
about
that chicken.
not even a half a mile away from where Chick-fil-A now is off Ambassador is Top Golf, Dave & Buster's, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So they have plenty of room now.
Yeah.
No, and they opened another one on Johnston Street.
Yeah. The one
they-
right by you.
They went from one that was a traffic problem
Sure.
to 2 that are now just inundated.
Gotta get the nuggies, man.
God, all those
Man.
undersized nuggets.
Hey.
You know, just killing
Undersized.
it.
Don't get me started on Cane's tenders.
Oh,
No, I want to get you started.
you want
on
to
that. I
talk
wanna
about
hear-
inflation?
Look,
Think
you gotta
about
be
going
careful.
the other
you
way.
you live in Baton Rouge, dude. Be careful what you say, man.
that's all I gotta
the
say.
Cane's Mafia
I'm
might,
over it, yeah.
might be looking at you. Yeah, I always looked at that, man.
We like big chicken.
The box used to have 6, I think.
I wish
back in the
I
day.
wish
Does
we
anyone
could go
remember
back
that?
I don't remember that.
And
Yeah, it
and look
used to
at
have
the gross
6.
weight. Like, what was the gross weight
Good
of chicken
idea.
in 2008?
Yeah.
And what is it now?
And then the sauce packets, they used to be like this thick. Now they're paper thin. you bottom out with like the slightest dip.
I think Todd just became a billionaire or
Oh.
is a billionaire now, something like that.
That's
yeah.
all those sauces going down, I
Yeah,
guess.
for
you know?
real.
Yeah,
Profit
cutting it.
margin, baby.
Yeah, are the chickens getting smaller or what's going on, Todd?
I think hormones are showing that the chickens are getting way bigger. It's a problem.
I had a friend that used to work at Cane's, and he managed the location. He said that they switched the people they were getting their chicken from, and the chicken size is now it's more expensive from them, and so they went smaller on them, and so they're selling them smaller now.
I heard a great story, and I joke about Cane's, and yet I'm a big fan because I heard the story, and it could be true, it could not be. However, it was from someone very close to them at the time, and it was
it
was during Katrina, and it was talking about the foundation of business and what you believe as a business person. And the foundation of Cane's at the time was like, and it probably still is, like fast, fresh, never frozen chicken.
Yeah.
Right? That's their thing. That was their live and die thing. And probably one of the reasons they were so successful.
Yeah.
However, Katrina hit. And they ran into a big supply chain issue because of all that happening. And Tyson, apparently one of the biggest chicken things, stepped in and said, hey, you know what? We'll take over for you. We can get you the chicken right now in your stores, and you're even going to make more money. And Todd Graves said no. He said that goes against our foundational core beliefs of who we are, and I would rather lose money or shut down during this time than change who we are for money.
I think that's the same reason that they switched the people they buy chicken from, because they were starting to freeze them. So they had
There
to
you go.
switch.
Yeah, I mean that's what I've in my business journey, at least. That's what I've been worried about and thinking about. Not worried, but
Chicken?
It's chicken. It's a big thing in roofing and reconstruction services. But you'd be surprised. Chicken kind of affects everything.
Well, I mean, Chicken Little, things falling from the sky, right? Is the sky falling? It's a good day for roofing.
yeah, with the adjuster. Look, there's been some big chicken hits.
Right,
over here
that's
on
right,
this
man.
roof.
That's right.
But yeah, it's like the foundation, and it's the same thing for our personal life. You
That's
know,
right.
you have to have the vision, you have to have the foundation, you have to have the pillars. You know, the principles and values. You know, that's really what it comes down to. And the companies that hold those principles and show that through their values are the ones that are just exceeding everyone. I know some companies that are owned by my friends that do their business the same way, and I strive to do my business the same way, and I didn't always.
Yeah,
you know
sure.
what I mean. I had to change that about myself, and and it's such a better way of doing things.
Well, what's the saying? You know, you got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
do you believe in?
Yeah. People are falling for whatever it takes for money these days.
Yeah.
You know, that's an epidemic too.
That's true. That's true.
That's why it's become kind of difficult out here to identify, you know, who to do business with and all of these things because it's a money-driven, you know, society.
Yeah.
It just is, and most people are worried about that or making money, and it's kind of sad. It doesn't create. Sometimes that drives great products and services to the mass
Sometimes
market,
it does,
and sometimes it breeds, you know, the devil.
Well, there's there's a couple things. One of the things I agree with you. People are changing. However, one of the benefits of the internet is that it is a microphone.
Yeah.
Right. It is harder and harder to hide bad business because it takes 5 seconds for you to tell the world what that business did to you.
Right.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
I
hey,
agree.
Beau Color Wheel, 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Bob's Roofing, 1 star. And it takes them a couple seconds. And you're crazy if you think people aren't looking you up before they do business with you
Oh,
these
yeah.
days.
Yeah, you're
100%.
right, 100%. Yeah, I wonder. You know, it seems like that too, and that is correct.
I review everything, man.
Yeah.
Socks? Let me see it.
Haynes, you're killing
right.
it these
Like, hey,
days.
like a shirt that I'm getting. Like, I want to see. I'm looking for reviews. Like, I want to see the guy wearing it. I don't want the hot model wearing it. That's not what it's going to look like on me. I want to see Frank with his like 6 kids. Like, what does Frank look like in the shirt? Like barbecuing. Let me see that. You know, I don't want the
You're the
Wish.com
Frank.
version. Yeah,
You're
right.
You're the Frank. You're out here. You're at the barbecue pit. Hey, this
5
one
stars. Fits great. Doesn't make me look like a big hairy sweat thing.
Yeah.
Sold.
I hope that those reviews don't get too crazy. Like, you can get lost in reviews these days.
You can.
You know, the voice, you know, you do have a voice with social media. You do have a voice with these kind of things, but now there's so many voices.
Yeah.
And there's bot voices.
That's true too. That's something you got to think about, man.
You can
Yeah,
pay
it's
for
like-
reviews now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I get emails every day about like, oh, get this many followers
Right.
or oh, get this many reviews. I'm
It's
like,
a business in itself.
yeah. But it's I hope that we can keep the integrity of that. I wonder if there'll be another platform for reviews that becomes the Google, because Google. Would you say Google's the gold standard of reviews for small
in
business?
my opinion, yeah.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
I think Google does a pretty good job of looking for bots,
They do.
even to our own problem, because we had a big influx of reviews whenever we started, and Google actually was kicking back or deleting reviews from actual people because of the influx. They were
Wow.
triggering like their algorithm for bots.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
people were like, dude, I don't see my review. I'm like, I didn't take it down.
Yeah.
And that's how we found out that, oh, wow, Google. So in my opinion, if they're monitoring us that much, they're
Right.
probably doing a good job with
Yeah.
all the other stuff as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's definitely the gold standard.
Yeah.
Amazon has become a little questionable, but they do
Yes.
have the verified
Yeah,
purchaser
purchase.
like
Yeah,
like
that's a
that
good one.
professional purchaser deal guy.
I was thinking about
goes on
that the
there.
other day, though, man. I mean, if I got Frank, Susan, and Bill on my staff, I'm like, hey, look, you guys, here's $10. Buy the product.
Yeah.
Leave a review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. But those professional reviewers too. It's like, I don't know, like if I'm getting stuff sent to me that I get to keep and stuff, like
There's a bias there.
yeah, like I don't know about that. So Amazon's getting a little weird,
But, man, I mean, it's just like,
but it's so convenient.
it's like reviews are such a powerful thing, and they can do heavy lifting for you in the marketing space without you having to market, because other people will end up telling your values and your core beliefs to people. Like, I tell a story all the time. It blows my mind. It's called The Magic Castle, right? And I got this from a book called The Power of Moments, and it's fire. And essentially it's like this. There's a place called The Magic Castle, and it's out of Disneyland, so in California, all right? And this place is not awesome. All right, so we were talking about Disneyland resorts, water slides at hotels. You're expecting the Disneyland experience even from non-Disney brands just because of the location that you're
Right.
in. The Magic Castle, hello, that is a shot of Disneyland, right? Like, hey, I'm Magic Castle. That's what
Yeah,
you
castle.
expect. It's like 70 years old. It's yellow. It smells like heartbreak and regret in there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's wild. And you're looking at it, and you start looking at the reviews.
Yeah.
Old room. Needs updating. AC broken. Can't turn my AC off. Knob's broken. It smells in here. 5 stars.
Yeah.
And you start to see a repetition of this pattern. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. Terrible accommodations, 5 stars. And you're like, what? They have a fundamental belief and a fundamental thing that they do. They have a pool, right? Naturally, California by Disney World. And not some sweet, sexy pool like a square in the ground, right?
Yeah.
Again, just with their brand. And there's a sign on the wall that says Popsicle Hotline.
Yeah.
And there is a red phone. And if you pick it up at any time, someone answers and they say Popsicle Hotline. And they will bring you a grape, cherry, or orange popsicle on a silver platter for free when you request it. So if you look through those reviews, guys, the fundamental service of a hotel is sleeping accommodations, right? It's
Yeah.
like the experience of you resting there.
Right.
They have failed that.
Mm-hmm.
They have failed their function, and they're still getting 5-star reviews because of the service that they represent, the peak of getting free popsicles. So the reviews like terrible accommodations, this place blows, 5 stars, kids love the popsicles.
Yeah.
We'll be back again.
Yeah.
So it's like in your business, man, like what are you doing that is making you stand out above the competition? Because people will remember your peaks way more than they remember your valleys. Because you know this, guys. Like you can do everything in your power, set up the best systems, the best processes, and things are still going to happen.
Right. Oh, yeah.
They're going to happen.
100%.
You can't control suppliers. You can't control the weather. You name it, right? There's so many different variables out there, and you can't control it. But if you can give them the foundational things that lead to peaks in how they feel,
Yeah.
game over, man.
Yeah.
Game over.
That's
Something
very
that has
interesting.
failed the function of use because they're able to provide that sort of peak. I think I looked it up the other day. It was like 1,200 and 1,300 reviews for like 4.8 stars
Yeah. Yeah. That's nuts.
for a smelly room.
That's very interesting. Yeah, that'd be tough to get without those popsicles.
That's
I don't
right.
think they're getting
25% popsicle, dude. And this is
Yeah.
what I tell people too in business. I'm like, guys, your value proposition doesn't have to be expensive or break the budget. It has to be meaningful, and it has to give people a sense of something, a feeling of something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting, man.
This is why people come to the rooms.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here you go. You're getting the taste of Kyle right now. Here you go.
Yeah.
I normally
tastes good.
Yeah.
when a client comes to me like, and they're they're struggling with a test or whatever, I tell them like if they're taking the ACT, let's say, usually our prep is like 2 months long.
Sure.
But if they come to us like a week left, I tell them straight up, I'm like, hey, we're not going to be able to do very much here. But if I can just give your student a little bit more confidence,
Boom.
that's all they need. They'll increase 2 to 3 points. They'll be good to go.
And
Minimum.
you'll bring a popsicle to that session.
Exactly.
Well, dude, you nailed it. Like, and it's something I talk about in coaching. There's something called the confidence competence loop, right? The more confident you are in something, usually the more competent you will be at it. And the more competent you are in something, the more confidence you're going to have, right? So if you're able to just build their confidence,
Right.
their competence level is going to go up. They're going to stop second guessing themselves on questions they may have gotten right? They're going to trust their instincts, things that they learned. They're going to feel better, and that anxiety is going to lower.
It's just a feeling.
Yeah, man. That's right. Confidence competence loop.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't heard about that, but it's 100% true.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
That's a real life and real way to understand the fake it till you make it, which I don't really know about that. I don't really know if that statement really has a place on this podcast necessarily. Maybe it does, but
I think
it's very
the
similar. I mean,
essence,
you're-
part of the essence of it, yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah, they're putting off the same perfume a little bit.
You
Those
don't
two things.
wake up being the number one power lifter in the world, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
Yeah,
But you do have to do the things that the number one powerlifter does.
You got to
get
fake
there.
it till you make
Yeah.
it.
yeah, you got to believe you can before you can. for
Yeah, so that's the
sure.
other thing. Like, I agree with fake it till you make it. Like, don't be a fake. And yet, I think you do have to affirm and pick a direction and start sucking at something before you're going to be good at it.
Yes, yeah, and that's what most people just don't even do that. You
No.
know, I think, and everybody's talking. That's a hot thing right now on Instagram. All the influencers are putting that out there. Like, you just have to start. Like, isn't that wouldn't you say? I mean, if
Yeah.
we're scrolling, we follow the same people. We like to be motivated. We
Sure.
like to hear what's good about business mindset, all these kind of things, entrepreneurship, and And I'd say that's one of the hottest things is like just step out and do it. Because you are going to suck at it. That's what they all say. You are going to suck at it, and it's true. You know, you may not suck at it as bad as you think you are.
Right.
You know, you're not going to be. You're going to be terrible at it. I mean, you may not be as good as you want to be.
I'm going to Kyle in real
you're
estate,
gonna
right?
suck.
I'm going to crush this.
Yeah. But you were even better off the rip than you probably should have been.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So sometimes you surprise yourself in life. You try something different, and you're so scared about sucking, you may not even suck that bad. I'll kind of put a twist on it. Yeah. You may not suck.
You
that
suck
bad.
less than you think.
Yeah.
You know?
Like just step out. You may actually be good at it.
We overthink it, man. Like, have you guys ever read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
I
an
haven't read
awesome
that.
book.
So in it, like, I'll save you the read. It's a great book.
Yeah.
I'm a big Malcolm Gladwell fan, and
the
he
Cliff
talks
Notes.
about the 10,000 hour rule.
Yeah.
It takes about 10,000 hours to become a master and expert of a subject.
Heard that.
And one of the things that really stood out to me is he talks about the Beatles. All right, and for the young viewers out there, the Beatles, you know, they were a band,
A business organization.
right? One of the top selling bands still of all time, right? But they were an overnight success. That was the whole thing. An overnight success in people's minds when they came to America. What people in America didn't understand is they had played over 9,000 hours of live gigs together.
Wow.
Over 9,000 hours? Man, and we got people who give up after like 2 hours.
For sure.
Like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's the same podcast thing. You know, that stat that we were talking
Yeah,
about,
dude.
you know. Apparently, everybody quits after like their 3rd or 4th episode. Apparently.
It could be for you if you gave it a chance and you stopped beating yourself up because you weren't the king of the world in it in 2 attempts. Come on, man.
Yeah.
What was this? Usain Bolt talks about it. It's like I trained 4 years to run 9 seconds.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, it's the same thing for us. We're at that point. We could quit, you know, because we're not getting that much traction. But I mentally prepared for that, obviously.
Yeah.
But
I think we both set the expectation of like
yeah,
this isn't going to blow up in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
or
It's
at
gonna
all.
What
if it doesn't? Like, what's
2
going to
years
happen
from now, maybe.
Right.
I'm still gonna. I like doing this. We talk about it too. I like having these conversations, and it's kind of cathartic for me to do it. So, I mean, you're coaching me right now, you know. So I'm getting free coaching. So thanks for that. You know.
Well, you know, then there's a guy who's in the news right now, or not the news, but he's very popular. Matt Rife, the comedian, hot comedian guy, right?
Awesome.
For sure. Yeah.
He was saying, dude, he was like, people don't understand, man. Like, I was making 30 to 60 grand in comedy for years.
Yeah.
Years. He was like, and then like this year I'll make 20 million.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he had to put in the work.
He
in
started
the work,
when
in
he
the
was 15 or 16 years old.
Yeah. How
And
old
he's like
is he?
27, I think, right now.
10 years. He had to put in 10 years of comedy. And now people are like, oh, man, look how young, and he's killing it. He's overnight success. Wrong. You've been doing comedy for 10 years.
Right.
Yeah, it's so funny, man. Everybody, including myself,
Sure.
once like I start businesses and I'm like, this is it. I'm just gonna hammer this in the
Sit
next
back,
3 years.
where's all the money?
Yeah. Just watch
Here
the
it comes.
checks
Yeah.
roll in,
Yeah.
and it's all gonna be good.
What yacht am I buying next year?
Yeah, I'm looking at jets. Like, which one am I gonna
Manifesting.
get?
Right.
You know, yeah. It's-
10-seater. No.
It's so funny though because
I'm not a poor.
everybody has that to a certain degree. I don't know. And the degree by which I feel like you can turn that off and just focus on okay, it may take me 10 years and I'm just going to be here. I may be in this office just like this for the next 10 years making X amount of money. And then maybe one day, it will be different. But I feel like the people that can focus on that and still have the drive without experiencing the results or expecting them, that's the people who can, really do some great things because they can sacrifice and they can delay the gratification of what they're doing when they do a deal or when they're putting X amount into their business. They can not take it off the table. They can not be greedy with the deal and create a good customer experience where they gain a lot of goodwill that gives them more momentum going forward.
That's right.
But if you're constantly focused on let's cash the checks, you can never create a good customer experience. You can never create a good partnership experience. All of those things because you're constantly taking.
People think success looks like this.
Yeah.
Looks like this.
Yeah, that's what it looks like for me, for sure.
Yeah, man.
You know, it's always like that. But yeah, I think about that all the time because everybody wants it now, including myself. I want to experience the success. I want to see the things I want to happen in my life happen as quickly as possible. And that's just a wrong way to look at it. It's a recipe
gratification society.
It's a recipe for anxiety and letting your. I mean, there's many negative things that can come with that mindset too.
Well, think about this, man. Les Brown tells this awesome story about it. And he's like, there's a Chinese bamboo. All right.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, man, it takes like 4 or 5 years of watering it and fertilizing it every single day before it even sprouts the ground.
No results. Is it dead?
No results. Yeah. He's like, think about this,
Why
bro.
am I putting these
the guy
hours in?
who's watering it
Yeah.
and fertilizing it. How much self-doubt is that dude having?
He's like, there's nothing in there.
Right?
There probably isn't anything in there. Why am I doing
Dude,
this?
not even year 2. I'm talking about like 6 months in. Like,
6 days.
someone
in.
sold me magic beans. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you don't know either.
Right. The neighbors are over there like year 3, like, hey, bro.
You
Still
okay?
watering that bamboo, eh?
Still watering that
that
ground.
soil.
How's
Yeah.
that working out for you?
It's such like business.
And then it grows, I don't know, like 100 feet in like a couple
Yeah.
weeks or something like that. So the
Yeah.
question is, man, did it grow that far in a couple weeks or in 4 or 5 years?
Yeah. So funny, man. So funny because that is how it is. And that's certainly how it's perceived from the outside,
Sure.
And the Matt Rife example is perfect for that bamboo analogy.
I thought we could get the young viewers in with.
Yeah. Matt Rife. Just keep saying the name.
Hashtag Matt Rife.
yeah. Get on that algorithm, but yeah,
Should
it's-
tag him in it.
Yeah. Oh, I
of
should.
course.
Oh, we will. Yeah. I got
I think we've tagged Ronnie Coleman before. Or something
I've
like that.
tagged.
I did see the Ronnie Coleman.
I've tagged Goggins multiple times too.
I saw the tag
because
of Goggins.
Goggins was the impetus for the show.
Nice.
His state of mind. And if you see the intro to it, I don't know if I want to highlight the intro too much because it's pictures of him. I don't. Never mind.
We'll put a pin in that.
say
We're
it.
gonna put a pin
I
in that
can't
for a
say it.
later conversation.
It's a cool intro,
Yeah.
but anyway, it's him saying life is one big head game, and once you figure out the head game,
I'm a Goggins
once you figure
fan,
out,
bro.
oh,
I
dude,
am a Goggins
come
fan.
on,
Goggins is amazing.
if you're
Dude.
not a Goggins fan, at least a fan,
Yeah.
man, it's going to be tough to succeed in business.
You don't even have to be like, if you're not a Goggins, like if you don't respect Goggins,
yeah.
then I don't know if we can be friends. Like you don't have to be a fan because you know
Right.
he is rough, he curses and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
like
yeah,
hard.
yeah.
But
There
if
you
you don't
go.
even respect him, like
Yeah.
I don't know if we can be friends.
Yeah, the fundamental level that it takes to not respect what happens in that life
Yeah,
there,
man.
that's way
Dude's
far
awesome.
off of me, man.
Awesome
It's
guy.
crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's just he has an amazing story, but yeah, it's all about that head game. And once you figure out the head game, then you can start living your life. That's,
Yeah, man.
That's what it's
No
about.
longer a
Can
game
you
at
keep
all.
going?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But the delayed gratification that it takes in business, you own your own business operation. We do stuff too. It really takes that. It takes stepping out and sucking at something potentially, and understanding that you may suck for it. At it for 10 years
Yeah.
before. Everybody thinks that it's going to pop off in the first couple of years, and you
Yeah.
put all this work into it, and you kind of govern yourself. You say, I'm willing to do this for 2 years.
Sure.
Yes, I'm willing to put in all this pressure and all this effort so long as I succeed in 3 years, and people don't realize they're putting that governor on themselves if they're not looking super long term.
Right.
And it all comes down to that how long term are you willing to stretch it out? Because if you can stretch it out, Hormozy talks about it, everybody, with the long time horizon. If you're willing to stretch it out to 30 years, you can create a great customer experience and actually work on what the business needs to be a viable thing for your customers and create a positive experience for everybody it comes into contact with. But if you're looking to succeed with that quick time horizon, it goes back to the same thing I was talking about. You're just going to be taking too much.
Well, I would be
I
seeking
think.
when I'm coaching people and they're talking about goals and those time horizons, man. Like, because I hear that all the time. Like, hey,
Yeah,
bro,
yeah.
2-3 years, this is where I'm gonna be. My first question is there evidence that time horizon can even be hit?
Yeah, interesting.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, dude, if I'm not successful at this in 2 years, I'm out. Great. I'm all about setting boundaries and deadlines. However, if no one in the history of man has been successful in 2 years, do you think you're being a little hard on yourself
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that timeline?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like, I'm not trying to limit your thinking. I do believe anyone can do anything, and yet don't set yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm sure that comes into play, and I'm sure you see it like I'm talking about. Like
Oh my
everybody
God,
wants
yeah.
that. Everybody wants it quicker.
That's right.
Than is reasonable.
Some of the
usually.
best advice from one of my business mentors, Mike's guy, David Gaffney. He told me a long time ago. He said, when you start a business, I'll give you the best advice ever, and it took me forever to learn this. You're going to work twice as hard as you think you are for half as much money.
Yeah, yeah.
Bro, if that hasn't been the truest statement I've ever heard over my years in business, like when you're startup, it is so true. If you were going to work twice as hard as you tell yourself in your head, and you were going to make half as much money at first.
Yeah.
However, if
Yeah.
you can hold on, figure it out, keep adjusting, fight through the storm, game on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Such good advice because it's very true, especially for people who haven't experienced that fight.
And it is that.
Yes, it is.
It
For
is
sure
that.
is. For sure is, man. So what? You got? Were you gonna say something?
Well, I'll just let
Go
you know
ahead.
the time. We're at hour 15 right now.
We're just getting started.
I feel
just
like
getting
we've
started.
been talking for 15 minutes, bro.
Yeah.
I really
It
do.
does.
This
So short. I
was
was
just
surprised when I
the.
looked
This was
over.
just the intro.
I really feel like we've been talking for 15 minutes. So one of the things that when I talk, bro, like on the road, I'm talking from I start coaching at 8:30, so 8:30 until 2:30.
Yeah.
Like, and there's some lunch and snack breaks, right? But other than that, like I'm talking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we can talk, guys.
Yeah, I'm the same.
We
I'm
can
the
go.
same way. I'm similar. I can keep rolling it out, man.
I got some encyclopedias up here. You want to get down?
In your coaching experience, Kyle, have you? Let's talk about some of the problems your people have had. Okay, we've talked about the intro, getting people on the right path, getting their frame of mind ready to be coached throughout the process. But what has happened, and what's been your experience when you've had an extremely challenging thing? Maybe your subjects have experienced something extremely traumatic in their life that throws everything in a loop. Let's talk about how to handle those situations from a coaching perspective. Maybe these people have had maybe bad things happen to them that throws everything off,
Yeah, man, that's a great point. And unfortunately, life happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. And pretending that it's not, or pretending that having some sort of mindset is going to stop life from happening to you is not the case. And that's kind of where I go with that point about the river, right? Jumping in and staying underneath it. It is okay to have life punch you in the face and you get knocked off balance. It is okay to feel depression and sadness and anger and genuine hurt and despair.
Yeah.
You're going to drown if you stay there, though.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to process what you need to process. What happens is a lot of people will not go through the stages of grief that they need to. And when people hear that, they're thinking, their minds usually go to like, oh, well, that's not me because like no one died. You know what I mean? Like when they hear grief, they think of someone died or someone passed away or something like that. And that's not true, man. Like true grief can happen like if you lost your business.
Yeah.
If you thought you were going to be successful and you've been thinking about this for years and you put all this time and energy and emotion in it and it doesn't work out, bro, you're going to have to go through a grieving process in that. And if you don't, you are going to carry that with you longer than you should, and it's going to handicap you in the future. So like one of the things I tell people is like, let's stop for a second and let's process what's actually going on. And then here's the thing too. Did you have something to do about it? Like, is your DNA on what happened?
What's your responsibility in what happened?
Right. Because
Potentially?
I don't care whose fault it is that your life is where it is.
Yeah.
I don't care whose fault it is. I don't care if it was your mom, your dad, something bad happened to you. It does not matter. I don't care. I don't sympathize with people. I empathize with people, right? Because it doesn't matter whose fault. It's your responsibility to choose the direction of your life now.
Yes.
Period. And if you go back and look through the books and epics and stories of time, how many people had drastically terrible things happen to them and that they chose to overcome it? It's a choice, man. It really is.
Yeah.
Every single day we are making generational choices and we don't give ourselves the benefit of that power.
Yeah,
right?
It's
wild, dude.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at that as a power because it really is, man. And you're talking about choices. There's no bigger head game than making choices in your life and putting your life in a different trajectory or wherever it's going. I mean, there's a tone and a temperature. I talk about temperature all the time. There's a temperature, hot or cold, in everything that we do, and we do have that power to choose where we're going with that.
That's right.
And and some people that have been hit with those terrible circumstances, it takes somebody maybe like Goggins to understand how much you can do with those crappy sandwiches you get, you know?
Yeah. There's a person I was coaching one time, and they're in one of my rooms, and they lost their son. And
now we're talking.
Yeah, you want like they lost their son, and they're like,
now we're talking.
Because one of the things I tell them is like, we figure out where you're at, right? In a scale of 1 to 10 in your business, scale of 1 to 10 in your life, your business, a 10 might look like, I'm crushing it. I'm making the money I desire. I'm leveraged. I have time. I'm stressed, but in a good way. A 1 might be like, I don't know how to spell payroll. You know what I mean? Like, I'm losing it. I don't know what I'm doing. I might close the doors tomorrow. In your life, a 10 is like, hey, man, I'm full of joy. I'm full of passion. I have my purpose. I'm healthy. I'm spending time with the people that matter most to me. And a 1, dude, a 1 might look like, it took everything I had to get out of bed this morning.
Yeah.
And she came up to me and she told me, she said, I'm a 1 right now. And she told me about that. And she said, I know that as devastating as it is, I've got to be here with you because it gets me moving.
Yeah.
Right? It pushes me forward into the next spot. Man, one of the things that I think is often overlooked, once you have the awareness of the terrible thing, right? You're starting to process it. You're starting to feel it and go through it. The next, dude, is you got to get moving.
Yeah.
You got to get productive, whatever that is for you, right? And some people, they're like, oh, man, well, I don't have a business. Great. Are you walking every day?
Yeah.
Are you reading something? Are you out meeting people? Are you building something with your hands? It doesn't even have to be good.
Yeah.
It has to be just productivity, because the more you sit in squalor, dude, you're gonna be there in despair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the first one is checking in on awareness. What did you have to do with it, if anything? And the next is, what's our way forward?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What's our way forward?
Yeah, that's so true, man. I think about that a lot because I have mental setbacks all the time,
Of course.
And I'm very aware of my movement. I'm very aware of whether I'm standing still, and that is one thing that I am good at. I may not be super productive in one specific area when I'm in that mode at all, I kind of measure what I'm doing a lot with my business and stuff like that, rightly or so. But I'm very aware of when I'm wasting time, when I'm not moving forward. And sometimes it takes me, like something that I do when I feel like crap about something, or if I'm going through one of those mental troughs, is I just go do something else.
Yeah.
I take my time and I say, you know what? I'm going to not push that rock up that hill right there today in this exact moment. I'm going to give myself a break on that rock, and I'm going to go build a chair.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm going to go do something that I shouldn't be doing by my own value proposition, or what I put value in myself for. I don't value myself as a good chair maker, right? I value myself as a good person, a good businessman, these kind of things. So I'm going to go ahead and press pause on that.
Sure.
And I just go do something, or I go visit someone. I'll just
Love
go drive to Houston to talk to a friend or that I haven't talked to in a long time. And for some reason that re-loops my brain, and it says to myself, like, okay, you're still someone else. You're not just that person.
That's
you're
right.
not just the person that had this traumatic thing happen to you. You're not just somebody who is going through a hard time. You're also a friend to someone, or you're also capable of doing this too. And it kind of that definitely helps me. And it's hard to make that switch.
Yeah.
Big time.
I do make that switch, but I fail to make that switch a lot. But every time I make that switch and I press pause on something and I go do something that by my nature seems like an unreasonable thing to do during business hours or something.
Sure.
Like in business hours, if I go waste 3 hours, I don't do that stuff usually. So when I do it, it's always a positive thing. It always somehow affects what I'm doing. And those 3 hours that I would be pushing that rock up the hill are insignificant anyway. And they wouldn't, at my certain level or in my mind state at the time, they wouldn't produce anything really worthwhile.
You're not as
anyway.
productive at your 100%. Well, I'll challenge your language pattern there, man. You said wasting 3 hours. I think when you have the intentionality that it sounds like you do behind it, that's not a waste.
It's
That
not.
is an intentional recharge.
It's not, but there's two parts of me. It's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like the part of me that says hammer business 24/7 and be an entrepreneur says going to build a chair is a waste of time.
Right.
So there's two things to
right.
that. The language that I say certainly maybe
that's
I should position.
Well,
it
that's
that
that
way.
other side,
It
right?
is,
and
it
it's
is.
beating down this side.
It is, but in those moments,
Sure.
I allow myself to change, and I allow that's the success.
That's right.
Because I am perceiving it as a waste of time, but I override that and I say that it's not a waste of time.
Yeah.
And
Is
that
it a waste
moment-
of time? That's the question.
That moment where I change that and I say I'm going to do that is the moment that I kind of release everything and I remember who I am.
Yeah.
Which is Beau Killingsworth. It's not Beau the whatever or Beau this or that. I
Did you,
just kinda-
Garrett, did you hear the tonality and energy shift when he said his name? Yeah. Like I was kind of like, oh,
I'm Beau Killingsworth.
that's what you did, bro. Like you didn't even realize it. Like you're like, yeah, you know. And then
I
I'm
don't
like,
know.
I'm Beau Killingsworth,
Yeah,
and I was like,
don't
yeah,
forget it,
bro.
bro.
I felt
Yeah.
that one. Like you, yeah. Yes, you are.
Yeah, I am, aren't I?
Come on, man.
But yeah, that's just something I've experienced. I do the same thing. Like this business I'm doing now, you know, it's a straight up startup. I've got a lot of experience in it, and but it's a different way. I haven't pushed that rock up the hill in a long time, and it's completely different for me. It's very uncomfortable. And I took some time and took a trip to Georgia, you know, to meet some business partners and do a lot of cool things and I could have been back here doing many other things for my business,
course.
but that gave me a perspective that, you know, I couldn't foresee what that would give me, but it did. It always pours out.
Dude,
It
well, that's the
does
crazy
it.
thing, man. Like it's analogous success, right? It's analogous growth because you're going to gain perspective and insight or energy or knowledge or wisdom from someone else, and it is going to show up
Yep.
in this business,
Yeah.
right? It's not a waste. It's not frivolous because if you're going to sit there, if someone will sit there and tell me, like, for instance, I'm in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
If I go interview the head guy at Chick-fil-A, completely different field. Do you think I'm leaving there with pages of notes?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like, even though it's not like pushing the rock, you might have just figured out a wheelbarrow to
Yeah.
roll that rock even quicker.
Right.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
From someone else. So I love it.
Exactly, man. And what was it we were talking about? I was talking on one of my other episodes when I was in Georgia when I was with this one guy.
You're making me jealous.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't be talking about the other
I was with the
episodes.
other guy. Sorry, man.
We're here right now.
But one of the things I got from it was that I said that I make a lot of phone calls. I talk to a lot of people. That's a part of business.
Sure.
And a lot of the parts of me want to say, okay, I have these people I need to talk to, and I try to prioritize them. You know, I'm like, okay, this one's the most important to talk to. This one's not quite as important because I'm not going to achieve or produce something with this conversation, this relationship, whatever. But what always happens is that what is said on these phone calls is something that I can't control, and you never know what you're going to get out of it anyway.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sometimes it has absolutely nothing to do with business.
Yeah.
It's just personal.
Yeah.
And newsflash, the personal stuff affects all the business stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. You learning about everything that is going on with someone else personally and connecting with other people, you know, changes how you operate, and thus it changes everything that you're doing with your business and your targets and what you're trying to do.
Agreed.
And you just can't quantify it. Like, we scheduled this podcast. I didn't know what to expect. I figured, you know, we would have some good things to say about it.
Beat on a couple drums, say kumbaya.
Yeah, exactly. You know, take our shirts off. But you know, this is going well. I'm getting so much out of it, and I couldn't foresee that. Every time we get behind the mics, it's
a surprise.
It is, and it's fun. That's why I didn't like prep you or anything like, because I just let it go.
Yeah.
And
Having an open mind, see what happens. Yeah.
It's awesome. It just goes to show you that no matter what you're doing, you don't know what's going to happen with certain things, and there is no waste of time because you never know what life is going to give you, what people are going through, all of these things. And it's just you trying to quantify that or value that beforehand is almost like anxiety and worrying about things that aren't going to happen. It's the same forward thinking, thinking that you can control what's going on.
It's almost like life is a canvas and you have a beautiful color wheel.
Yeah, a
To
color
paint
wheel.
To paint with, man.
A color wheel.
Let it just be. Let it be what it is. You know, you have all the colors on the color wheel.
Yeah.
At your disposal.
And one of the things I've heard that that really stays with me that is a baffling thought is that life can be so much better than you even think or plan it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's a scary thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's a scary thought that we're engineering our lives to try to achieve something or try to achieve some specific result with our lives or feelings or structure or all these things. But life can be much, much better than that.
Mine is better right now than I could have ever imagined. And it's not even about, like, I'm not even talking about trappings of success that, like, people think when I say that. They're like, oh, yeah, man, you get to fly around and do
thinking
stuff.
about your family, aren't you?
Yeah, bro. Like, I was with, last week, we were going to the park, man, and it was like 9:15 in the morning. Me and my wife are walking. The kids are running ahead of us, and both of them just turn back and look and laugh. And, man, I had this moment of just extreme gratitude. I'm like, this is the greatest moment of my life.
Yeah.
And it's something so
things.
simple, right?
Wow.
It's so simple. Miracles are happening all around. People are always like, dude, you're so happy all the time. Like, how is that? It's either that's not real or how do you do it? And I'm like, dude, it's because you're overlooking the simple things that are happening right now. And what I'm taking extreme gratitude for, you're taking for granted.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm so, like, bro, I got breath in my lungs right now.
Yeah.
We had an opportunity to hang out today.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
think it's Friday.
This
It's
is
a work
great,
day
man.
right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Our
we're-
lives are set up that we are business owners. We are masters of our own fate. And if we want to take some time and hang out and just, like, extrapolate thought and share wisdoms and hang and just fellowship together, like, we can.
Yes.
Like, that's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing, man.
It is.
Oh, yeah. It really is.
So
man.
that's
amazing.
it, bro. It's like there's so much to be grateful for. And that's part of my coach. And I tell people, they're like, hey, I'm not happy. I'm like, and you're not grateful.
Yeah.
Gratitude leads to happiness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
Yeah. It's a perception thing.
Yeah,
It's a
people are
mi-
like,
it's a
man,
head game.
I'll be grateful when I'm happy. I'm like, you're not happy because you're not grateful.
Yeah.
I think-
Ooh.
Sometimes,
Hard
like
stop.
people that are hard on ourselves,
Of course.
Yeah.
gratitude and content can kind of be, one and the same. And it's scary to think, oh yeah, I'm content right now. I'm good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Which really, you might just need to be grateful for that
Yeah.
instead of just
Yeah.
trying to push
Yeah.
all the time.
So that's a great thing, and that's something that gets brought up a lot whenever, because I'm a big gratitude talker. Like, well, so you're saying that it's not okay to push or not okay to want more. No, I'm
Yeah.
saying that I'm okay if it doesn't work out.
Right.
However, I'm going to do everything I can to be the best person I can be because I'm grateful for this life and my gifts, and I don't want to waste them. One of my versions of hell, and I heard this description, and I can never get it out of my mind, it's when people are like, man, you work so hard, you do so much stuff. Why? It's because my version of hell is if I die, God being like, hey, this is who you could have been.
That's the Goggins thing, dude.
But you
It's
wasted
so-
it.
Yep.
Oh God, that's Goggins.
But you
man.
wasted it.
I love it. That what you were just saying.
It's
I felt
terrifying.
like it was one of the most important things we said today. It was, it's very important because it all boils down to what you just said. It's understanding that you're grateful, being okay with whatever happens. I define the happiness and the state of mind, the perfect state of mind, as being happy with whatever happens.
That's right.
Even if it is the worst, and everybody's got their worst thoughts of like, oh my gosh, if this happened, but being okay with that as a result and being happy in that circumstance.
That's right.
If you can do that, and that reminds me of Viktor Frankl. I don't know if you've heard of that guy.
Man's Search
you
for
have.
Meaning?
Yeah,
My
yeah,
God.
Yeah.
Please, everyone, read A Man's Search
Just-
for
I've
Meaning.
not heard of that.
Yeah. Well,
Dude.
Viktor Frankl was a Jew in the concentration camps. Okay. And it was all about, the story revolves around him developing a state of mind that allowed him to be happy and experience joy in what human beings would perceive is the
Hell.
worst treatment
Yeah.
that you could that you can experience on
almost
Earth.
the history of the world, right?
Right.
Just
The
terrible atrocities.
And if you read that book and if you understand that story, I'm glad I was just reminded of that because I haven't thought about that in a long
I
time.
love Viktor Frankl.
What's the book called?
A Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last human freedom that no one can take away from you ever is a man's choice on his attitude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No matter what anyone does to you, no matter they put you in this concentration camp,
Yeah.
you still get to choose your attitude and your perception of the world that day.
And it
Wild.
took those atrocities and those terrible things to highlight that, because if you didn't have those things, it would always be theory.
Yeah.
We don't have to look at that as theory because he actually experienced it and is voicing his experience
credible.
through it.
Dude.
Yeah, exactly.
The internal fortitude of that guy.
Yeah. So we can say, well, you choose your attitude. Okay, well, I don't feel like I choose my attitude because I feel like shit right now. But then I feel like crap.
to say.
Yeah, easy for you to say, Mr. Air Jordans.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's right. Wink. Is this gold?
But if you look at those situations, it's the same thing as the Goggins thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. These people show us that in those circumstances you do choose your mind.
Yeah.
And that, man, it couldn't be a better example that life is one big head game.
Life is one big head game, man.
Wow.
It's
Keeps
like
coming back to
the
that.
tallest trees have the deepest roots. You know what I mean? And so, like, if you've seen dark, you've seen atrocities, that lets you know and understand truly and deeply how bright light is and how precious it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it gives you the ability to change things. And, like, I haven't been through Viktor Frankl stuff, but I've
Yeah,
been through some
sure.
things, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that helps me appreciate stuff and give gratitude for those things. And that's when I tell people when they're like, they try to compare you to old you. I'm like, dude, I'm not that person. Like, that person is a shell.
Yeah.
This person's full,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I've changed my perception, my attitude, what I choose to be grateful for, how precious life is. Bro, having kids, like, was not a crier. Like,
Yeah.
wasn't, bro.
Yeah.
And, like, having kids will unlock doors in your soul that you never knew existed.
What do you mean you're a man, right?
Right, man,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah,
Hey,
you're a man.
You want to go shoot some guns? Stop being a baby. But, dude, now, bro, like, I mean, I will definitely get some hot tears going on for, like,
yeah.
just beautiful moments, man.
Yeah,
because I
dude.
just am so much more appreciative of it and just, like, the miracle of life. Like,
Oh yeah, dude.
what?
Yeah.
Dude, and we're all just big kids.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, I coach adults, successful adults, unsuccessful adults. I'm going to let you in a little secret. We're all kids.
Yeah, for sure.
You're all just
man.
kids.
Yeah, it's 100% true.
Yes.
And especially people that aren't they're real kids.
Real kids.
I mean,
some people's kids.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, we are, man. Life is so quick, man.
It is.
Like
it really
yesterday, I was in first grade for sure.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
I can't believe that I'm like, I still feel very young, you know. And Garrett is very young.
Garrett is in
22.
first grade.
But he said, he's still in first.
He's in the
gonna be
man
in
first
second
grade.
next year.
So
Yeah.
here's the thing, Garrett, which I'm super excited that like you're doing these things and you're already an entrepreneur and you're surrounding yourself and you have a growth mindset. Like,
Isn't that cool?
dude, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like it is, bro. Like I had like a glimmer, a speck of that at your age. But like where you're at, I'm excited to watch your journey and be a
appreciate
cheerleader for you because it's awesome. Like this is what I'm talking about, gratitude. Like I'm grateful to know you because it's inspiring to me like how good your head on is now. And also, and this isn't a negative thing, it's just a fact, like how far away you are from who you're going to be in 5 years.
Yeah.
Like that's even more, like it's so exciting for me, like how your wisdom's going to grow and like your mindset's going to grow in that amount of time, dude. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard for me to appreciate
Sure.
that or think about that. Like
course.
5 years from now, what could I do? Like when right now I'm just doing the things I need to do and like getting to the next day. It's hard to see, maybe I can do this or maybe I could do this and just, think about how great that would be. It's hard to do.
It's coming.
Yeah, I look at Garrett as an experiment, he's an experiment.
He's the best of us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like, think about who else, I don't like to compare you, but you have to understand that where you are and what you're doing even right now is completely different than what other opportunities people have, like to experience or talk about these things. It's
Right. Hey, you wanna drink this bottle of whiskey and blackout?
yeah, that was
my conversation.
Yeah. At your age, we were together at Mike's.
Hey, you want to learn to ride this motorcycle?
Yeah.
I've never ridden one, but let's give it a shot. I'm only 6 beers deep.
But yeah, it's awesome to see that. But well, how long we got?
I got like 5 minutes.
Okay, we got to go.
We got
well,
hour
look,
37.
Okay, well, I'm starting to end the podcast in a specific way. I want you to kind of think about somebody who is going through that very, very tough time in their life. Okay, maybe the most tragic and the most challenging time of their life. Because that person's out there, whether or not they're watching this podcast, maybe they do later on. I want you to look into the camera if you can, and give them the real to help them through that challenge, because this person does not know how to deal with this challenge. They do not know how to get from point A to point B, to get over and through the insurmountable obstacle that they're dealing with. So I want you to do your best effort and give them what you think is going to help them get through it, because it may make the difference.
Here's the thing, person. You may be struggling. You may be going through something right now. I'm going to remind you of 3 G's. All right. Grit, grace, and gratitude. Number 1, grit. You have to realize, like, the fact that you are watching this and listening to this right now is you have made it through the worst days of your entire life. Give yourself some credit for that. You have right now, at this point, made it through the worst days of your entire life, and you're still here. So even though that the storm is raging all around you and you can't see the sun, it doesn't mean that the sun doesn't exist. Because you got to remind yourself that you've been through things before and you're here. And you will get through this again. So how do you do it? First, you got to start with the gratitude of that you are here still. And you have the chance. You have the choice. Man, here's the thing too. It might not even be something traumatic. It might be that you're in a place and you feel empty and lost and you don't know what to do. Change it. It doesn't matter how long that you've walked down the wrong path. You can turn around. It is literally your life. There are people who have changed everything at 60, 70, even 80 years old to completely craft a new life. It is not too late for you. And the story that you tell yourself every day is going to have a drastic impact on the result. You have to realize that you have the pen and the paper and you are drawing your life every single moment, every single day. You are authoring it. Are you being the hero? Are you being the villain? Are you being the victim? Start crafting that. What would the hero do of your life right now? Author that. Write it down. It might sound silly, and yet being able to come up with the awareness and the plan around what a hero of your life would do right now, that's going to give you a roadmap to your next step. Man, the gratitude, and then also the grace. Give yourself grace. It is okay to be where you're at. It is okay to feel what you feel. It is okay to be in a dark spot. It is okay to feel sadness, depression, loneliness, like a failure. That's okay. Stop beating yourself up over it. Some of us, guys, we say things to ourselves in our own minds that we would never say to another human being. We say things to ourselves in our own minds that we would never say to someone that we love. We talk so much trash, so many bad words and limiting beliefs to ourselves and our brains when no one's around late at night, deep by ourselves, that we would be embarrassed to say out loud. Those are not true. You are literally putting yourself in a prison of your own design every time you say that. Every time you do that limiting self-talk, that negative beating yourself up, you are building brick by brick a prison for yourself. Stop it. Next time you have those thoughts, next time you have those limiting beliefs where you call yourself a failure, you tell yourself you're not worth it, you're not of value, think about someone you care about. Think about someone you respect. Think about someone that you look up to, someone you idolize, someone that you want to have a relationship with or you do have a relationship with, and tell them that they're not worth it. If you have kids, pull them in your mind's eye and look them in the face and tell them that they're not worth it, that they're not valuable. Pull up a picture of you as a toddler, as a baby, as a young kid, and tell them that they're not valuable, that they're not worth it. You can't do it. Or if you did do it, it was very hard to do. That's because you understand at your core that it's not true and that they don't deserve it. Stop doing that to yourself. Change your thinking, change your world, change the words that you're using to yourself, change the words you're writing on the paper in the book of your life, and start to author a different story. You got to remember the origin story of a villain and a hero are the same thing. The villain and the hero have both been through terrible things. Heroes are usually orphans. They've had traumatic experiences. Villains, same thing. They walk with a limp. They might have a scar on their face. They have been hurt by the world. The difference between the hero and the villain, though, is the villain says, I've been hurt this way, and now I'm going to hurt others. The hero says, I've been hurt this way, and I've made through it, and now my goal is to make sure that no one else has to hurt like this again. So what story are you writing? Are you going to be the hero or the villain? It's okay that something's happened. Now it's your responsibility to do something about it. I believe in you.
Wow. Wow. The
How about that?
best. The best,
That was
man.
beautiful.
Thank you for that. That was incredible. That was incredible. I'm going to clip that thing. I'm going to put that thing everywhere, man, because that is incredible. Thank you so much for that.
Dude, my pleasure.
Thank you so much for being here today. Very excited to have you here.
Thank
and
you, Kyle.
Yeah, man. Thank
Really
you for letting
appreciate
me
it, man.
witness you, man. I'm going to be
Really
here
appreciate it.
following you like white on a
appreciate it.
polar bear,
Appreciate
buddy.
Yeah. Well, we're out. That's another episode, man. We'll see you next time.
All right,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Life is one big head game. And once you learn to play the motherfucking head game, it's no longer a game anymore at all. You start living your life.